I know you take a deep dive into teens and how there's been this movement to sort of decriminalize teens because that's turned into a thing that's supposed to be racist or inhumane, that we need to understand, teens shouldn't be held accountable for their bad behavior and what that's led to.
Absolutely. We have a juvenile crime surge. It started a couple of years ago. I think most of us can recognize why. When you go ahead and tell criminals, whether they're teens or not, that you can get away with your crime, that you don't have to really fear any kind of punishment. If anything, if you do end up getting caught by police departments that are already defunded and understaffed, so that's likely not going to happen. But if it does, well, we'll put you into restorative justice programs where you will get community support. It sounds really great on paper, but when you're doing that for teenagers who are already violent, it's not worth the risk to society. These are the kinds of kids who can get restorative justice programs while they're in juvenile detention or an adult prison. I think ultimately, and the reason why a lot of these sort of ideas ended up passing and getting implemented in cities across the country where I don't know anyone who has an appetite for putting a 15, 16, 17-year-old in jail, right? I think all of us instinctively want to help wherever it is we can, but we're not putting the 15-year-old who steals a candy bar from a 7-Eleven in jail, right? What we want to do is put the kids who are bringing a gun to those robberies and actually firing it. Those are the ones we want to put in jail, but instead we're treating them both exactly the same. And the left-wing argument in this case goes, I'm glad you pointed out the racism card, because that's what they're claiming, that the laziest argument any progressive can use, and they use this all the time on the radical left, they claim some disproportionality. They look at the data and say, black teens are disproportionately impacted by fill in the blank. That's all that they claim to get to a point where they say that it's racist. But disproportionality doesn't tell you the why, it just tells you the what. So for them to just jump to that conclusion, it's just incredibly lazy. But that's the argument that they make, and they're able to guilt mostly white voters in cities like Seattle, Portland, LA, San Francisco, really all across the country into just accepting that. And we are worse off for it. We are now in a position where our lives are at risk. Sorry. I know a lot of people don't want to acknowledge that. They think it's some kind of hyperbole. But when you look at the crime crisis, all kinds of crime, and again, particularly amongst youth, I think it's pretty clear that things are not where they should be.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, people like Heather McDonald and many others have done great. Jason Riley, great work on this. The vast majority of violent crimes are committed by Black men. That's the truth. That's why that's why the incarceration rate is disproportionate to the percentage of the population that Black men make up. We can get to the root causes of that all day long, but the left doesn't want to do it. They don't want to talk about anything having to do with culture. It's a no-go. But on the subject of teens, Black or white, committing crime, there has been this weird movement to really just treat it like it's a nothing, no matter how violent. And like you say, I'm a reformed shoplifter. I've told a story in the past about when I was 12 on Halloween. I stole earrings and a necklace, and my mom and my friend's mom caught us and made us go down and confess our crime to the Kmart manager, and it was very scary, and I never stole again. That's not what we're talking about. No one's talking about that. They're talking about violent crimes that these kids, like only a depraved heart would do, like we saw with the two kids, sorry to use that term, they're not, the two young men who ran down that former police officer just last week. They just mowed him down like he was absolutely nothing and killed this man who had recently retired, who are going to be treated as adults in the system. But I wanted to mention this because we haven't gotten to the story. It happened a couple weeks ago via the New York Post. Minnesota Democratic official who once vowed to dismantle the Minneapolis Police Department, who actually said right after George Floyd that we need to that the police department has systematically failed the Black community, has failed all of us. If you're still disagreeing with this basic fact, I'm not sure what to say to you, pushing for defunding. She applauded the Minneapolis School Board's decision to terminate its contract with the police, saying the police should have no place in our children's school. Well, guess what happened? The reason we're showing you her bloody and bruised face here is because she was attacked. And guess by whom? A couple of youths, according to her. Her name is Shivanthi Sathanandan. Forgive me if that's not the pronunciation. But she's a Democratic lawmaker who says, in connection with this post, I have a broken leg, deep lacerations on my head, bruising, cuts all over my body, and I have rage. The beating occurred in front of her 4-year-old daughter and 7-year-old son around 7:45 p.m. Tuesday. These men knew what they were doing, she wrote. I have no doubt they've done it before, yet they are still on our streets, killing mothers, giving babies psychological trauma that a lifetime of therapy cannot ease, with no hesitation and no remorse. Then she says, we need to get illegal guns off our streets. We need to catch these young people who are running wild, creating chaos across our city, and hold them in custody and prosecute them. Okay, why are they out in the first place, Representative? Oh, wait, it's because of you and people like you.
Precisely. And what drives me mad, and it's a sad reality, but for a lot of folks, they have to personally experience something for them to finally see things the way that a lot of us on the right see things. And that's a shame when we're talking about crime. I don't want to see innocent victims ever. But unless people are individually impacted or they know someone who's impacted, someone, whether it's something dramatic like this or having a stolen car or, simply taking your kids to the park to find a bunch of homeless people shooting up or smoking fentanyl, that's the point where they start to turn things around. And I think part of it is, and I know this just from my experience living in Seattle, I am surrounded by people who think nothing like me. And I imagine that if I was surrounded by people who only think like me, I would have blinders on to the reality. And when you are so knee deep in your ideology, you tend to just dismiss folks on the other side. And it's really easy to just miss everything. And then all of a sudden it happens to you and you're wondering why isn't anything being done? And you know what? I like to yell at them and shame them and say, maybe you should have woken up a while ago because we've been talking about this for a while. But I'll take them stepping a little bit closer to my side. They're never going to be on the right, but they could step a little bit towards the middle. And when we're dealing with these kinds of policies, whether it's in Minnesota or California, New York, or Oregon and Washington, we just need to moderate just a little bit, and we can start walking back a lot of these policies. But if they're unwilling to accept a reality on the ground, when it comes to crime, drugs, or whatever, they're just not going to see any kind of relief. And ultimately, it's going to catch up to them. And we're all going to become victimized by this if we don't do anything.
This show is supported by Grand Canyon University. Founded in 1949, GCU is a private Christian university that's dedicated to delivering an affordable and transformative higher education. Their vibrant campus is located in beautiful Phoenix, Arizona. And according to niche.com, it's ranked a top 25 best campus in the country. As of June 2023, GCU offers 330 academic programs with over 270 online, allowing you the freedom to earn your degree on your time from wherever you are. Their programs are also designed to challenge and inspire you. At GCU, your degree, whether it's a bachelor's, master's, or doctorate, integrates the free market system and a welcoming Christian worldview. And they believe that higher education should be accessible to all. Learn more about GCU's programs, competitive tuition rates, and scholarship offers from your university counselor. They're part of the supportive graduation team who will take a personalized approach to helping you achieve your academic goals, walking alongside you every step of the way. Find your purpose at Grand Canyon University. Private, Christian, affordable. For more information or to enroll, visit gcu.edu. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.